When I did wake up, the first words out of my mouth were no, 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 please no. I repeatedly told him and begged him to stop. However, he did not. I had to attempt to fight him off by kicking, screaming. My younger brother, Ruiz, was in his bedroom. So I started screaming to attempt to get him to come and help me. During my screams, Benjamin grabbed a pillow to attempt to silence me with it, to not wake up my younger brother. Luckily, my screams woke my brother up before he had a chance to silence me. Once Benjamin heard my screaming, he started running towards my childhood bedroom. And it was not until he was right at the door that Benjamin stopped. All he did was say, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done."
We are about to watch the Iowa parole hearing of a man who did this to his biological sister. News comes out that he'd been doing it for years before she fought back. What's crazier about this is that the act that got him in prison, that act took place on 5/8 of 2023. And here he is having a parole hearing on 9/25/2024, a year and 4 months from the day of the assault, and he has a chance for parole. I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
So let's start off by describing what happened that night that brought you here to prison, okay? What's going on in your life? Drugs, bad relationship, whatever. What was going on?
So I don't want to blame it on the drugs. I had at a young age, I got a sexual preoccupation, and I viewed women as sexual objects. And that night, she was going home, but I decided to sexually abuse her in her sleep by touching her, fondling her with my hands on her breast and her vagina. It's something that I've already done before when I was younger, and that's why it made the abuse easier this time around.
And who was the victim?
That would be my sister, age 23 at the time.
Okay, thank you. So we have the victim that wants to make a statement, but at this time when she makes a statement, just sit back and listen, okay? You're not to address the victim at this time, so you just sit back and just listen at this time, okay? And I'm gonna give it to Heather.
We are now going to promote you to panelist. If you would accept that, once you've accepted it, you can choose to leave your camera off or turn it on when you share your statement. There you go. And so just unmute and you can begin when you're ready.
My name is Ruiz. I am the younger sister of Benjamin Ruiz. With me, I have my advocate, Nick Tripp. As you guys work on this decision for his parole, I want to share the situation, how it impacted me during, and how it's still impacting me to this day. On May 8th, 2023, while visiting my hometown, I woke up around 2 a.m. to Benjamin Ruiz molesting me. He had one hand stimulating my left breast and the other stimulating my vagina. I did not wake up until he had already been molesting me. When I did wake up, the first words out of my mouth were no, 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 please no. I repeatedly told him and begged him to stop. However, he did not. I had to attempt to fight him off by kicking, screaming. My younger brother, Ruiz, was in his bedroom. So I started screaming to attempt to get him to come and help me. During my screams, Benjamin grabbed a pillow to attempt to silence me with it, to not wake up my younger brother. Luckily, my screams woke my brother up before he had a chance to silence me. Once he heard my screaming, he started running towards my childhood bedroom. And it was not until he was right at the door that Benjamin stopped. All he did was say, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done." When Abram was first in the bedroom, Benjamin attempted to deny what he was doing in my room. I pointed out that he was only in his boxers and a t-shirt, and what other reason would there be for him to be in my bedroom while I was sleeping? Once he realized my younger brother did not believe him, he went on to say that no one's gonna love him anymore. No one's gonna wanna be there for him. He's not gonna have any family, and he's not gonna have any friends. At that time, he did not show any concern for me or what he had just done to me. He even attempted to convince me to not say anything, and it almost worked. I almost did not report it. I almost did not go to the police station. Since that day, I have had to attend weekly therapy sessions, routine psychiatry appointments for medication adjustments. I have been added on to due to the nightmares that I was having. I would wake up screaming. It is hard for me to trust people. In my bag, I always carry a taser and pepper spray with me due to my paranoia. I am hypervigilant of my surroundings. I'm always looking around to make sure that he's not there, anyone else isn't there, or any man. I even moved locations due to not feeling safe in my old house, as I had taken him in during his time of need before the incident. Sorry. I attempted to help him. I feel I was his biggest advocate, even though I knew what he had done to me as a child. I even remember telling him that once he got better with drugs and alcohol, we can discuss what happened in childhood. And instead, he did it again and showed no remorse at the moment. Sorry, I need a moment. Thank you guys for listening to what I have to say, and I hope you're able to take it into consideration once you make your decision.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I know that's tough, but we appreciate you making that statement today for us. It means a lot. and it is impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna put you back as an attendee, and then you can just continue to watch and listen throughout the rest of the interview. Thank you for sharing.
Mr. Ruiz, you heard what she had to say. Without addressing her, what are your thoughts?
All of it is true. Through treatment, I had to disclose all the events in my life and reflect on them, bad decisions, and it is true, she didn't hold it against me at all when I first confessed the abuse, when she was helping me in the behavioral health unit. And, you know, I ended up just abusing her again in somewhere where she was supposed to feel safe, which was my dad's house at the time. And I take full accountability for what I did, and everything she has said is true. She told me to stop, and I did not stop. I attempted to muffle her screams with the pillow. And I did try to, I was in denial of the fact that I needed treatment at the time or any kind of help. I wasn't thinking about my deviant behaviors.
Okay. What would you say the role of a big brother should be?
To be there to protect them, to help them out, not to sexually abuse them.
So what made you, after some time lapse in between the first incidents, was she still underage at the time? I'm not sure of the last, but what made you think that would be okay after some time passed?
It wasn't okay, but it just made it easier through my other types of abusive behaviors. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I chose to do it because I wasn't using any violence during those abuse. In my mind, I was justifying it.
Okay. How many victims would you say you have?
Around 5 or 6.
6.
I believe.
Okay. What are your thoughts about not drinking again?
I understand after this, I have to go to substance abuse treatment. That's something I've talked to my facilitator and my counselor about. It's going to be difficult. I know as an addict and an alcoholic, it's going to be difficult, but it's something that I'm willing to do.
Is it something you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I currently have no more questions at this time. I'm gonna pass to my colleagues, okay? And they might have a few questions for you. Susie?
Thank you, Jesse. Good morning, sir. How are you?
How's it going, man?
Can you talk to us about who your supports would be in the community?
My supports, even though what I did, my supports are still my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, and my uncle. Those are the main supports. And other than that, before my crime of conviction, other support that I had that was helpful to me and was trying to help me out through my difficulties was Rich over at the recovery center that I was having to attend.
Thank you. So I believe I heard you say that you identify yourself as an alcoholic. Is that correct?
Yeah, both an alcoholic and addict, yes.
Okay, so do you have plans to attend AA and get a sponsor?
Yeah, the main one is that I plan on doing is aftercare, which is the treatment that I have to do after SOTP. That's my main focus. Obviously, drug treatment is going to be a main focus, and then AA is something that I will also do.
Okay. Have you looked into where AA would meet?
I visited one over by where I was going. It was like a few streets away. I went there 1 or 2 times with somebody from the group, from the Jackson recovery group that I was with. But at the time, I wasn't truly interested in getting clean or staying sober. I wasn't putting my all.
And your thoughts about obtaining a sponsor?
The sponsors are a big, I understand sponsors are a big help. So yes, getting a sponsor would be something that I would look into after finding the right one.
So we understand from what we have is that you have several things that you feel you need to work on following release. And so is that the SOTP aftercare drug treatment? Is there anything else?
As in like programs or like finding a job or stuff like that? Or what do you?
I'm just asking you. It said here in our plan that there's several things that you feel you need to work on following release, mainly sobriety, but what else would be included in that?
Finding a job, making time lost that I've had with my family. That's something that I need to work on.
What type of job would you be looking for?
Wherever they would accept me, really. I've heard where my last employment, I understand that with this case, it's a little more difficult sometimes to find jobs in certain areas, but my last place of employment, I've heard that that's a place that I could possibly go to.
Where was that?
Tyson over in Dakota City.
I believe that's all my questions. My colleague will probably follow up on SOTP questions. So thank you for answering them.
Thank you, Susie. Meredith?
Hi, good morning, Mr. Ruiz. I just have a couple of questions for you because I think my colleagues have covered most of the things I was going to ask. So long-term, is your plan to stay in the Sioux City area after work release?
Yes,
Okay, is that where your family is?
that's where all my family is. Yeah, I live in the States.
Okay. And do you have any plans after the work release as far as what you'd like to do for housing? Would you like to live like on your own, or do you plan to try to move in with family again?
From what I understand, they've told me moving in with family is not a possibility. That's why I have to go to RTF. So I'm thinking more about it, and it's leaning more towards having to find a place of my own.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea for you, and they'll have resources to help you find places to live that fit within your restrictions that you have and that will fit within and also what you can afford. They're pretty good at getting people housing in Sioux City. So I wanted to touch on a couple of things in treatment, and you started to talk about that at the very beginning when you said that, you know, you had seeing women as objects and sexual preoccupation. Can you talk to us about some of those cognitive distortions and negative schemas that you identified for yourself in treatment?
So at a young age, I got a sexual preoccupation. I discovered pornography on my own and then exposed my uncle to it at a very young age, like 5, I believe. After that, it was just viewing women as sexual objects. And definitely one of the schemas that fit in with me was sexual violence without activity is not harmful. I believe because I wasn't using violence, it wasn't harming them emotionally or in any other way. Towards the end, my biggest risk factors were my impulsivity, my deprivation. I had a lack of intimate relationships with adults. That would be another one that I identified myself with.
What do you mean? So you said your risk factors are impulsivity, lack of relationship with adults, and then you said deprivation.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Those were risk factors identified through treatment that make it easier for you to abuse, like my impulsivity. I wasn't thinking ever about the victims or how it's going to impact them. Deprivation, mostly because I had a sense of deprivation because I didn't have a I had a lack of intimate relationships with adults.
Okay. And then how do you, I guess, plan to address those risk factors in the community to make sure that you don't offend against somebody else in the future?
That's not going to be my priority, is making relationships with other adults or pursuing anything with them. At the moment, my main focus is just trying to complete my treatment, trying to better myself, and even though it's going to be a struggle every day, quit drinking, and it's not going to be my main focus when I get out there. It's mainly just going to be working aftercare and then just making time lost with the family my supports that I mentioned before.
Okay. Are there any other goals that you have for yourself or things that you want to accomplish?
Not reoffend, but mainly just work, pay off my restitution that I owe, and I'm keeping my goals small, succeed in the halfway house, stay out of trouble, stuff like that.
That's good. That's good to take it one day at a time and make sure that you're keeping those goals in mind. Has anybody talked to you about once you do leave on parole, since your sister's your victim, about how to go about making sure that you're having contact with other family members in a way that's approved by your PO and by the Board of Parole? Has anybody talked to you about that?
No, nobody's talked to me about the actual leaving here. I know what the rules are in here, no contact with the victim, no asking my family about the victim and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I do understand that sometimes in certain areas, I'm not even supposed to have contact with my mom and dad.
Are you having contact with your mom and dad and your grandparents right now?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go out on parole or once you're out on your special sentence, so everything about your sister stays the same. You can't contact her, you can't ask people about her, you can't ask people to tell her things. But the Board of Parole definition of victim is really broad, and it includes your direct victims, parents, grandparents, things like that. And then that contact with them, if they want to still have contact with you, has to be approved by us. So they can absolutely still have that relationship with you if they want. They just need to provide a notarized letter saying that they want to continue that contact. And if they do that, they can either give it to your counselor there or to your PO so we can get it approved. But you can't just leave and continue talking to them without getting that letter and making sure that we know that they want to continue to talk to you because your victim is your family, okay? And it sounds like they are a support system for you, so I don't want you to accidentally do anything that would violate the rules of your special sentence, but I just wanted to make sure that that was on your radar, okay?
Okay. So leaving, I have a question, ma'am.
Yep.
So leaving here right now after this meeting, I'm not supposed to talk to my mom, my dad, my grandma, or my grandpa right now.
Nope, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to make that confusing. While you're there, you still follow all the rules at Newton. As far as contact, this would be down the line in the future once you leave. There are rules about when you go out on parole, not having contact with victims' family members unless they tell us and your PO that they want that contact. Because I saw that you were still talking to those family members now, and that's totally fine. But sometimes there's that that in-between time between leaving prison and going out on parole, where we do need to get those formalities in place. And I don't want people to not know and then do something wrong on accident. So that's why I was bringing it up.
Thank
I
you.
think those were all the questions that I had for you. So thank you.
Thank you. Susie, you have any follow-up?
I do not, thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Ruiz, at this time, if you want us to know anything further or prepared anything, this is your time, okay?
I didn't prepare anything further.
Okay. And any statements you want to make? You're good?
If you guys are able to give me the opportunity to show that I can be a productive member of society, I would really appreciate it. But I understand that you guys have to take other factors into consideration for your decision. And I just want to thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ruiz. I appreciate that. So this is the time you're just going to sit back and listen to us. We're going to deliberate. Maybe we're going to make a decision. After we're done, I'll come back to you and explain the decision, okay? All right, thank you. Colleagues, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna support the department's recommendation. The TDD on this before he starts his special sentence is next year. And then, you know, he is an A commit. He's completed his treatment successfully, and, you know, we have some feedback from his, the provider who did the SOTP saying that he was an active participant and that, you know, he never minimized his actions. And I see that in the interview too. You know, he was very upfront about what he did and didn't minimize, you know, anything that the victim told us, and just said that she was right about everything she said that he did. And so I think here the biggest thing is exactly what he said, focusing on SOTP aftercare and making sure that there's treatment in the community to help keep him on top of his risk factors, and that aftercare is in the community. Aftercare is not at Newton. And so in order to make sure that he has the best shot at doing well and not reoffending, he needs to get into that aftercare. So I'd be looking at the parole with a 10B to start at the work release. I'd be looking at that no early discharge, so he'll stay on parole until the special sentence starts next year. I'd be looking at limited internet usage, because he did talk about early access to pornography being a factor. I would be looking at the 40A for substance abuse treatment, SOTP aftercare, and I see here a recommendation for mental health evaluation too. I think that would be helpful. And then a 50A for alcohol prohibition.
So how about a 30A on this one?
She was not a minor at the time. She disclosed that it
That's what I was
started when
asking.
she was a minor, so. Yeah, that's a tough question. I probably would be leaning against putting it on.
Okay.
And then that's one that the PO can remove if they it's no longer an issue, and I'll make a note about it in the comment box.
Go ahead.
when I vote.
You're good.
Yeah, I would put it on.
Susie, thoughts, folks?
Yeah, I had the same codes as Meredith. I'm going to support the recommendation. In addition to what she's talked about, he recognizes that he is an alcoholic. He's talked about getting a sponsor, so he'll be involved with pro-social folks that will help in his stability. And, you know, he's looking at a job. It sounds like he may be able to return to where he was before. So he has goals and he has a plan. It looks like he's going to take it step by step. So again, I will support the department's recommendation.
Thank you. And if it wasn't for the time on the back end being so short, I probably would not be in support of this. But being that the goal for cases like this is to get them educated and into the treatment, and then to pursue the aftercare that's needed as well. I think some good points were validated, stating that he has taken accountability. He understands impulsivity, he understands what his distortions are as well. So For that reason alone, I'll be in agreement with the DOC recommendation of work release. So the same codes as you guys said, and I'm going to deliver this. Mr. Reese, you heard us in our deliberation. We're going to give you a chance, but we don't want to see you again after this. No like crimes, period. Okay? And you heard me say that I would not have voted for this if you had more time. But the goal is, it seems as though you are absorbing what the goal, what the teachings are and what the treatment is. So we're going to release the work release with these other codes that we have for you. It's going to be called a PGD3 with a 10B, meaning you're going to work release. The 20B means you're going to go all the way to your discharge date of 8/15/25. The 20A is that we don't want you using the internet. We want you to, the 40A is a treatment code for the SOTP, and we want you to get a substance abuse evaluation as well. The 50A is we do not want you to drink alcohol, period. We don't, no liquor stores, no bars, okay? You can go to a restaurant that serves alcohol, but it's got to be mainly food at that place, okay? So that's going to be the codes we give to you. Meredith explained the no contact rules. Once you're out, please abide by those because I can get you back here quicker than anything. Okay. And before I leave, I want to again thank the victim for her statement. It meant a lot to us as well. So that will conclude this interview. Wish you well. Okay.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, where does anyone even start with this? Remember, he got a 5-year sentence. They're paroling him. Like the ink's hardly even dry on his fingerprinting at the arrest for this, and he's getting paroled. Then you know what's most bone chilling about this is that they ask, and the parole board actually asks a question that is interesting, which is how many victims do you think you have? Like they actually asked the question that, wow, you're going to dive in to see, hey, maybe we have like a really, really dangerous serial predator here that's in front of us. Maybe there are things that we can do. We can protect from other. And he without even blinking an eye, says, yeah, I have 5 or 6 victims. And that's what he's admitting to. And they parole him. And then on top of it, he only has to register for 10 years. He is a serial predator. He is as dangerous as they come. And the state of Iowa, they think that why not? Why not? Let's give him a 5-year sentence, parole him after serving 1 year. Why not? Let's only make him register for 10 years because we all know that all of these issues, they're just going to leave him. Even in his like Floridian slip about the alcohol, it's like, yeah, I'll do, whatever you guys want me to do. It was so many words that he said. He's doing it to her when she's younger. They kind of like talk about it. She knows he's going through substance abuse stuff. Says, we'll address it later. And then he actually comes back in the room. And what's the reason? So they parole. Remember, he's 26 years old when he commits this crime. He's not like a little child. They're coddling him like he's a child. He's a full-grown male, and it's just, oh well, I didn't have a lot of friendships. I didn't have adult relationships. It was I didn't think that because I was physically hurting them, they was doing anything wrong. And it's like, some people need to be locked up. They need to be locked up, and I don't know why he only gets a 5-year sentence. Again, the DA, they do these jokes, whatever. They give him 5 years, paroled after 1. But they're actually they talk themselves into paroling him. Why? Because so they can put him on programs outside. It's like the whole thing is just a joke. And they're also buying into his substance abuse. It's a substance abuse. That's the issue that did it. That's what caused it. It's like, come on. We know that he's wired differently, and he's the most dangerous type really probably like on the spectrum, the most dangerous, and then he has that impulsive behavior aspect of it. So you really think that he's not going to be in another situation that he's going to harm someone. That's absolute madness. You're insane if you believe that. I don't know why you don't just simply deny parole. I don't understand their logic or their use cases. Don't worry, we'll probably see him again sometime soon for some type of revocation or something. Make sure you subscribe, because we do keep tabs on everyone that we follow. I don't just say that. I'm not like, there's so many people like, oh, we'll keep tabs on them. No, we really do. Sir Richard has it in his spreadsheet. When they show back in the system, we get notified and we cover the following hearing. So yeah, we'll keep tabs on it, because we sure as hell know that the system, they don't care that much. They even had the audacity at the end to thank the victim for coming up there right after granting him parole. Shut up. This parole board's pathetic. And we see it time and time again. And it's like this person is a serious deviant. At least give him credit for, I think, him being honest about that deviancy. But we've seen that type of honesty in these deviants. We've seen it before in many of those, predator catcher type stings and how they are in these parole hearings. And he just falls into that bucket. There are no credit. He doesn't get brownie points for it. It's just a deviancy, in my opinion. And 10-year on the registry, that's probably the biggest aspect of this, because we know that this is a dangerous man, and he is so young. He will be 37 by the time he is no longer required to register. That is insane. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
When I did wake up, the first words out of my mouth were no, no, no. Please no. I repeatedly told him and begged him to stop. However, he did not. I had to attempt to fight him off by kicking, screaming. Luckily, my screams woke my brother up before he had a chance to silence me.